Alright guys, so welcome to another video here at Anytime Fitness Crestwood. Like we normally do during the week, we're going to do something educational, but I thought I'd bring my friend here, Dr. Jeff, to talk a little bit about low back pain because we both experience, we have a lot of clients that come to us with low back pains, and more often than not, we know how to help them, right?
It sounds good. Thanks for having me, man. Very well. I think the first thing I want to maybe talk about is how frustrating it is for some people who have low back pain, because a lot of people are dealing with something that's been chronic, they've had it for several years, or it's something that's reoccurring. They have it, it goes away for a few days, a few weeks, maybe even a few months, but then it reoccurs, it keeps coming back. And the frustrating part is there are so many options for treatments. Should I see a chiropractor? Should I see a physical therapist? Should I go the medical route and see my primary care physician, an orthopedist, a physiatrist, a pain management doctor? Should I stretch more? Should I exercise more? Should I see somebody like you? Do I need to diet? Do I need to get a massage? Do I need to try acupuncture? As you can see, it gets overwhelming.
Totally.
So, I wanted to just talk about the reason that there are so many options. There are many types of low back pain, or many causes of low back pain. So, on the serious end of that spectrum, of course, a cancer or an autoimmune disease, which they're going to see the medical route. Obesity is a very common cause of low back pain. They're going to want to see somebody like you. They need to diet and exercise. I've heard it said before that if all of the benefits of diet and exercise could be put into a pill form, it would be the most widely prescribed medicine on the planet. And I think we can both agree with that. I think everybody could agree with that. Obesity causes low back pain not for the reasons that we used to think. We used to think that increased weight bearing down on our spine is what caused all of the pain, and that's only partly true. There's a term out there now called metaflammation, which is metabolic inflammation. Larger fat cells excrete more inflammatory substances, and inflammation is what's responsible for that pain. So they need to get in here to somebody like you, a personal trainer, and they need to be doing a lot more exercise, and they need to be dieting. Now into things that we can do and into our world. What I see mostly is that mechanical low back pain. That is from repetitive injuries, traumas, muscular imbalances, misalignments in their spine and whatnot. So let's go over a couple of those patterns, and these are the most common patterns I see. It's not as simple as this always, but this is what I see over and over again every day. One pattern is just global weakness in their core.
When you're talking about global, what are you talking about?
So really I'm going to talk about the core. And when I say core, the core is our center of gravity. It's right in this area here. It's our center of gravity. It's the foundation from which all of our movements occur.
Okay.
When I say that, what does that mean? Every time I take a step, every time I reach for something, our core should fire first, and then all of the muscles should move from there.
Theoretically.
That's how it should be. That's how we want it to be. So if somebody doesn't have good core stability, it can be the cause of low back pain, hip pain, knee pain, even they're finding shoulder pain, even neck pain. Chronic neck pain sometimes can be related to they don't have a stable core.
Some would just say the most important thing.
It's probably one of the most important things.
Okay.
So I would say that is a common pattern that I see. They just don't have good stability, and maybe they're strong enough, but they don't have good coordination. They need to master certain movements and then get into some of the strengthening and exercising. So this is where somebody says,
they need to know the movements to practice.
They need to know the movements, they need to have better form. Sometimes it means kind of taking weights away for a minute and just reviewing pattern, and maybe doing that for a couple weeks and then adding weights back in.
True.
Especially people that, my pain is worse after I work out. The pattern is not sufficient, or you're just too weak.
And one thing I noticed too is that the worst thing that you could do is come into a gym setting with a couple exercises that you picked up really quickly and then try to do them without a professional looking at it. Because more often than not, you're going to want to grab that dumbbell and then you're going to pull a little bit, right? Or you're going to want to press,
yes,
and you're going to clean, and then you're going to hyper instead. So there's a lot of different ways you can hurt yourself without knowing how to do things right.
And here's the interesting thing that I see a lot is people that have that instability, or maybe they're weak, they're usually really limber too. They're very flexible. And this kind of person, a lot of times, not always, but they love stretching. And they think they can stretch their pain away. And they come in and they show me all the stretches they're doing. And I have to say, you need to work out. You don't need to stretch. You need to exercise.
And exactly what Dr. Jeff is saying, I can't emphasize enough how many individuals I see that participate on yoga on a daily basis, and they have been for a long time, and they come see me and they complain about hyperflexibility and why their body's extending in ways that is discomforting to them. And it's really because they haven't been able to centralize the local muscle groups, strengthen those that then correspond to getting to the level to the ligaments in their tensile tissue is, and making just one full. It's kind of like a complete breakfast. Yoga is just part of a complete breakfast, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
On the other side, though, the reverse side, some people come in that are really strong, they're really tight, they're almost too dominant in
like
certain
bulldogs,
muscles.
like we see the bulldogs.
Yeah. And they want to exercise their pain away.
Oh, yeah.
And they are very resistant to stretching.
You probably see them a lot on the pro right?
You can see that. I see that all the time, of course. Yeah. So those you kind of have to say, no, you can still exercise, but additionally, you need to start doing some more stretching. You're just too tight everywhere.
Right.
So that's, of course, common things that I see. Either just overall too tight, overall too weak and needs stability.
Okay.
Either way, somebody like yourself.
We need balance.
We need balance.
Right.
In everything in life, we need balance,
Right.
of course. Another pattern that I see, here's a really common pattern where you kind of got a little combination of both. Something called flexion intolerant low back pain.
Okay.
This is people that have pain a lot of times sitting too long. If they are bending over and they have pain.
So I'll grab a chair.
Yeah, please.
So let's we can pretend that I'm at my desk job at Monsanto.
Yes. Okay, so they usually sit with this kind of rounded spine posture, hunched over. This here is flexion. He is flexing right here. And they sit with that round posture all day. They don't take breaks. And that cumulative compression on their low back, on that lumbar spine, is going to start to cause pain.
Right. And I get up, and then what's the first thing that I probably do when I get up? Well, then I'll hyperextend my hips forward and try to balance out.
Yes.
I think that that's going to make me feel better.
And in some cases they do want to extend, but sometimes they might hyperextend, like you said, and overdo it. In some cases they do want to extend, and actually I'm going to have you demonstrate something here. But, so that's a pattern. That's something that we see a lot. It's one of the most common things I see. Usually, not always, everybody's a little bit different, but usually what I find is people like that have really tight hamstrings.
Right.
So when they bend over to pick something up, they can't get their tail end back far
What
enough.
usually happens too, like you notice too, is what I notice, and probably Jeff does too, is anytime I'm looking at someone doing a squat evaluation, 9 times out of 10, if they have tight hammies, they're going to have tight calves, their heels are going to raise when they squat down. If you feel like you're ever doing that, and I don't know if you can see my heels, but they're off the ground when I squat, that's when you know your posterior is a bit tight.
It is tight, yeah. So they need to stretch that area there. Usually they're flexion dominant. So even you watch them do a lunge, they usually want to do their lunges, something like, their whole body just wants to come forward.
Right.
They might be the ones that do a lot of crunches and sit-ups like we're describing, where they're kind of always just in this flexion dominant thing. So we want to extend that.
Right.
Stretch the hamstrings, but get in that kind of like a cobra kind of a pose there.
Okay.
Right here. So this is something this is a stretch that they would want to start with usually where they're regularly trying to get a little bit more extension through here. After you work with a stretch like this for a little while and you get comfortable with it, and I want to point out a couple of things. People who have flexion intolerant low back pain, when they get into this, it usually feels stiff, it feels tight, it might even feel a little uncomfortable for the first 15, 20 seconds.
Right.
Here's a rule of thumb. If your pain intensifies as you're in this position, this is the wrong stretch for you. Disregard this.
Okay.
Most of the time with flexion intolerant low back pain, though, you're going to get into a position like this, it's going to feel stiff, tight, and uncomfortable, but after about 15, 20, maybe 30 seconds, it feels good. All of that discomfort went away and you feel like you're loosening up. If you feel comfortable with it, you can slowly add a little more extension. You can get onto your hands, you can push up a little bit more. Let that pelvis fall, get that extension in there, and maybe hold that for another 15, 20, 30 seconds in there, and then slowly come out of it. But that could be a good stretch for somebody who has that flexion intolerant low back pain.
Right.
As far as exercises, so they're going to come see you. Well, they are usually in this dominant position where they round too much.
Right.
So doing...
So I'll show you, so a couple exercises, right, that you could do, even from the position that we were just in, is something really simple that I do with a lot of clients that experience low back pain or trying to strengthen their inner core. And one real simple exercise is just a Superman. So all you do when you lay out is you keep your head down, so your cervical spine's in a line, so you never want to look up. I keep keep my hands out. They're facing each other in a neutral grip, my palms are, and all I'm doing is I'm raising my elbows and my knees off the ground for a split second, and then lowering. I bring it up again, and then I lower. One more time, and then I lower. And then after the 10th time, I can come back and do a nice low back stretch to work out the tension that I just applied on my low back.
I like that one too, especially with kind of the child's pose, because they usually sometimes are going to be tight.
Oh, the lats, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're real tight in those lats a lot of times, so that's a really good one as well.
Totally. Now, a more advanced exercise that you can start to incorporate is a modified version of a deadlift. So what you want to do is you want to grab a very light barbell. You'll stand, and just so you can see me from the front, feet will be about shoulder width apart, hands will be outside of the legs. Just so you see how my back looks as I'm bending over, my head's looking forward, but I'm going to look at the camera because I'm talking. As I'm dropping down, my back goes, my hips drop back, my back is straight, it's not hyper-curved like that. It's straight over, and then I bring it back up. What you're probably going to feel, if you do have low back pain of this nature, your hamstrings are going to pull. You're going to probably feel it with your hamstrings first and your low back. So again, just take your time. Focus up, bring your hips back, and then draw it in.
And I want to point out something, when people, if you're not used to that movement and you first start to do it, you're going to feel heavy on your heels probably.
Oh, for sure.
And that's okay, you'll get used to that, but I know a lot of people start with that and they almost feel, oh, I'm kind of going back.
Yeah.
That's okay, you want to be a little heavy on those heels.
Dumbbell or your barbell will just hang loose right underneath your shoulders, and then you'll bring it right back up. Very simple exercise. Just remember to keep it down. What you don't want to do is bring it too far out, because then you might end up rolling your back and you'll be in the same situation that you're complaining about right now.
Yes. So those are a couple of ideas for that flexion and tolerant low back pain. To sum it up, they usually need a little bit more extension in the low back. They need to stretch their hamstrings. Usually, might even need to stretch those abs, which that stretch that you were doing will help do. And then yes, you want to strengthen the glutes, you want to strengthen the low back.
Right.
Another common pattern, we'll just kind of maybe do one more, and again, there's so many different things that can be going on, but some common things are, they're just overall too weak in the abdominal muscles. They're really weak in here, but above and below that, the thoracic spine, that mid-back right through here, they're usually just really locked up. They don't have good movement through there. Move way too much in there, they get wear and tear, and then the hips. The hips are just really tight.
Right. So what are some occupations that you might see someone with that kind of?
That's kind of more of a pattern, a certain
That's just a pattern of movement, maybe,
Yes.
maybe improper exercising?
Improper exercising, usually they don't exercise at all.
Okay.
Somebody like that usually doesn't even have a membership to a gym. They need to start working
Okay,
out.
so most of their activity is just done at the house, and they're not focusing on training their body around here, but they're doing normal activities.
Doing
like
normal
grabbing things.
activity. I see this pattern on a wide variety of people. That's why I don't want to put it into a specific occupation.
Okay.
I see people that work at desks all day and doing this, that,
Okay,
that.
so it can happen to anyone.
I've seen construction workers come in and they're just built. They are built from here up, just solid.
Right, from all that pulling and pushing.
Extremely tight in the pelvis, but right through here, maybe even in that low back, they just don't have that stability, and they just get that wear and tear, wear and tear, wear and tear. So we got to stretch, we got to stretch. I'm doing a lot of adjusting and mobilizing in here, probably not adjusting their low back much, because a lot of times they don't need it in there.
Right.
I'm showing them exercises on how to strengthen it.
Okay.
So, and then for you, I mean, the stuff that you're going to be doing, of course, all of your abdominal exercises, your planks, dead bugs are really important. Side planks. A lot of people don't get the transverse abdominal muscle,
Right.
and that's what really acts as this canister, this belt system to protect our low back.
Yeah, because it makes that webbing, right? You know, as it crosses over.
Yes.
And such like that, right?
So yeah, the obliques, transverse abdominals, all of that. So this idea that we just need to do more crunches and sit-ups and only work those muscles.
Well, the transverse, from what I remember reading, the transverse almost acts like a girdle. And it's
Yes.
the first thing to let go when you start losing mobility in the core, or
Yes.
strength in the core. So that's the first thing that'll actually expand, then it'll venture out, your rectus abdominis, outside
Exactly.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So really there are a lot of different patterns, but it can be boiled down to, you need to figure out what those patterns are. That's where you see somebody like myself, see a chiropractor, a physical therapist, a lot of personal trainers can recognize these patterns too, and then really...
Right.
or doing stretching
Here's
exercise.
something that might be helpful to anyone that's watching this video. What are some signs that someone might be experiencing, need to go see someone? And maybe if we were to put it in grades of 1 through 4, grade 4 being I need all the pills in the world to fix me, grade 1, I notice something's wrong.
So like they need to see a chiropractor, they need to
or just they need to start doing something to
doing something. If you have anybody who is experiencing some type of low back pain,
Right.
any pain really, but low back pain, you should be thinking about seeing somebody, getting an evaluation, because a lot of times it is a progression and it will build. It just becomes this minor annoyance, and a lot of people think they have to live with it. There's this idea, this concept that, well, I'm just getting older. That's what happens, you start to get pain, and it doesn't have to be that way. We are living so much longer because of modern medicine, but because we're living longer, that's more of a reason we should take better care of our bodies so that we can be functional and do the things that we want to do with this increased life expectancy.
Right. So yeah, so what Dr. Jeff is picking on too right there is that it is possible to correct this. And that's the biggest issue here. You don't have to live with this kind of back pain. You can do things to set yourself up for success. So you just don't have to default to saying, like you normally hear, I got low back pain. It's almost too easy of a response. You can fix it and there's ways to do it, which I think we've probably discussed, right?
And most people are going to respond to simple stretches and exercises.
Because it's more than they've done before.
It's more than they've done before.
Yeah.
And when you need to see somebody, if you go in, start doing some exercises, if your pain is made worse with certain exercises, it just doesn't go away, you probably need to see somebody. Maybe you need an alignment, maybe you need an evaluation to see what it is. But most people are just going to start to respond automatically by just doing some more stretching and exercising, moving their body.
And the only way that really happens, guys, is if you talk to someone. You know, just sitting at home and thinking about it or watching an infomercial about what device can help you with low back pain or talking to a friend isn't going to cut it. You know, getting in here to either see me, getting over to see Dr. Jeff, and actually taking the initiative to get up and fight low back pain is the only way to fix low back pain, I think.
Absolutely.
All right.
Man, thanks for having me. Thanks for watching us. And
okay, and we'll try to come up anytime Dr. Jeff and I come up with another idea that we think would really benefit you guys. We'll be doing these videos together. So I hope you liked it. All right.
Yeah, man.
Have a good day.